Going live. Here we are. I believe. Yeah, here we are. Friday night. Here we are.
We haven't done the only time I remember doing Friday nights is playoffs. Playoffs. This is my first drink in 3.5 weeks.
Really?
I've been waiting recently for the opioids to clear out of my system because I'm terrified that even a small amount of Oxycontin in my system when I have even a little bit of drink would send me to the emergency room. So,
are you off of them all now?
Yeah, I have been for 4 days. I got off them as quick as possible.
How you feeling?
Sore, but getting there. I feel like the only way to realize that I've made progress is to look week over week instead of day over day. Day over day is too close. So.
Makes sense. Did you stop drinking in preparation of the surgery? Is that why it's been?
Yeah, well, you weren't I wasn't allowed to take any medicine beforehand. I wasn't even allowed to take vitamins or anything for a week before. So
I'm adding my first comment. Bang!
Ah.
Oh, I didn't see her receding hairline. I saw dildo leg. Well, dildo leg is pretty good.
Hold on, I definitely do not have a receding.
I don't think you do.
No,
I love the segment.
I like dildo leg.
Yeah.
It comes up every 3 minutes, every 3 months, where someone accuses you of having shit hair, and then you give them the whole.
But I literally don't have a receding hairline.
No, I hear you.
You do.
Yeah.
Solid hairline.
Yeah.
But dildo leg, I think you do have.
I do have a dildo leg, but the hair,
dildo leg.
The one thing on my body that is holding up is my fucking hair. I have a full fucking head of hair.
Guys, I've had a lot to drink.
Okay.
I thought this was gonna be a blowout. I was like, well, Friday night game. I'm going for it.
All right.
We're ripping it.
Okay.
It's not a James Harden wine. It's not a James Harden blend.
I have.
It's not something for everybody.
I have
something
it over
for just
here.
me.
I said I have it over here, like you were in the room with me. I'll just give it to you.
Dildo leg.
Dildo leg. Good old dildo leg over here. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP at mortgagecs.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter was you can sign up for that newsletter at rightstrickysanchez.com/newsletter. Would have been sweet tonight. Would have been sweet. Sixers lose to the Celtics without Joel Embiid, without Tyrese Maxey, without Nick Batum. We will talk to that. We will
moral victory.
You know what? I think it was.
And a moral loss for the Celtics.
Yeah, and moral victory for everybody but one person on the Sixers. So I'll talk about that. We head to Atlanta and Detroit for Starhunting. We have some new media, I guess, to look for. A new commercial from the system. And the finalists for Dan Olinger's column name, I'm never going to get it right. And the return of Brian Colangelo relationship advice. Fly the Process is going to Los Angeles. We're going to go on a trip to go see Sixers versus Clippers at the Staples Center in March. Hundreds of us join us, and fans of Philly, you can reserve your spot for just $150, full travel and hotel and game tickets and all that kind of shit. Go to rightstrickysanchez.com/fly. And if you're coming from somewhere other than Philadelphia, or if you're already there and you want a non-travel package, just tickets to the game and the parties, send an email to joe@fansofphilly.com. Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. I mentioned I'm having a stateside. I haven't had a stateside in a very long time. Friday night pod, which we almost never do. We talk about Surfside all the time. I love the regular stateside vodka made right there in Philly. Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. It's the best in the stateside rocks glass. Of course, Surfside iced tea and vodka is the official drink of Philadelphia, the official canned beverage of Philadelphia. Only 100 calories. Tastes fucking awesome. No carbonation because iced tea does not have bubbles. You can order it at statesidevodka.com. And just a separate little plug that we learned in recent days, the Philly Special Christmas album. the Eagles offensive lineman with a bunch of Philadelphia All-Stars, such as Charlie Hall, Eliza Hardy-Jones, Amos Lee, is on sale. And there is a Ricky Easter egg in the album art. If you buy the deluxe album, there is a special Ricky mention in the album art. It's the coolest fucking thing ever. We didn't know about it until the last few days. So order it and look at it. And if you find it, send it to us because we know what it is, but it's fun to find. I don't want to tell you what it is, but it's definitely fun to find. A couple people have found it already. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights To Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's been doing a little bit of the drinky. That is one Mike Levin.
Look,
Yeah.
Maxey's out, Embiid's out,
Yep.
Batum's out,
Yep.
Oubre's out.
Yep.
Springer seemed to be available, but out just in a return to conditioning situation.
Yeah, he was game time decision due to illness.
Yes, I had some good career news that I can't talk about yet.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm going to drink during the game
Okay.
because it's probably going to be a nothing podcast after a 70-point loss.
Nah, it's going to be a good fucking podcast.
Well, I'm not
after
saying it was
loss.
not nothing as in the game didn't.
Yes, the
wasn't
game.
going to matter.
Yeah.
And they just battled, man. A Doc Nurse-esque type of game. I like the fight.
A lot of fight.
A lot of fight and a lot of guys. Melton, Beverly,
Yeah.
Mo Bamba. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Robert Covington.
Yeah.
Don't mind if
BBall
I
Paul.
do. Some solid BBall Paul play. We'll talk about all of it. Derek White has made every shot against the Sixers. He's never made a bad play or done anything wrong at all. I should sue. I would like Kornblau to sue the league for allowing this to happen. But yes, I've had a number of glasses of wine.
I don't
so here
want
we
to
are.
do this right off the top, but I want to give credit to all the guys who battled, especially Patrick Beverly.
Yeah.
Especially Patrick Beverly.
Yeah, I was
But-
pretty frustrated by a couple of his turnovers, but he played
Yeah.
well enough towards the end of the game that I'm like, all right.
And he
I
wanted
take
to
it
win
back.
so bad. Like you could see it in a couple of the moments toward the end of the game. But just an all time, I'm not going to harp on this, but a fucking all-time stinker from Tobias Harris. Like, look, brother, this whole bit where you're like, the third offensive option, but you could be the second, or you're the fourth offensive option. You could be the third, it could be the second. Like, it's games like this where you got to have 32 points and you can't just fucking, just a fucking no-show in the second half from that guy. Just a completely terrible second half from him in every sense of the word. Absolutely awful. Just dog shit second half from Tobias Harris. I'm not going to focus on it, but I cannot. I was so mad because I wanted to win this game so fucking bad. It would have been such a nice fucking game on a Friday night when I have a drink in my fucking stateside in my hand and Patrick Beverly doing step back threes and Mo Bamba hitting threes and Robert Covington having 5 steals and a half, and it would have been nice for a good Tobias game. Would have been a nice night for it.
It would have been nice. He had a decent first half and then really just fell off. Like the most Tobias play of the game, maybe of the season, and really is
The double block.
exemplifies the whole Tobias experience. Jason Tatum drives with no intention to go anywhere. He throws it back out to Derek White. Bad pass. Tobias gets a lot of a hand on it. And instead of just like grabbing the fucking ball and just going like, this is mine, he just kind of like taps it. Just taps it. And Derek White gets it because he does everything right. He grabs it and goes, finishes N1. And it's just like, that's such a massive swing. That's such a massive swing. And it's just like, you got to grab the fucking ball. And there was a play earlier in the game when he had a big offensive rebound and he sort of is physical with Derek White. When he decides to use his physicality, he is good. He had a nice deflection early, a nice lefty finish in transition, some grab and go stuff, fine. But like you got to be more consistent with that. You just got to be more consistently a dog, and too often he gets dogged by other guys. And he has been cold the last like 6 or so games. Has been pretty bad for him. He took 1 3 this game. 1. No Maxey, no Embiid. Tobias takes a single 3. And then obviously what will be remembered, getting blocked by Horford at the rim, goes up again. The entire team converges on him. And instead of kicking it out or giving me a pump fake, he just goes right back up, tries to get that millimeter over the rim again.
Yeah, well.
And the Celtics send it back.
Clearly, he has chosen the sick guitar solo option. Tobias has.
Yeah. So a tough Tobias game. I think, it wasn't good. 4 turnovers. He had 4 steals, which I don't. He was at 3 offensive rebounds. Like, he was making some things happen, but like,
I want to know how many of those steals were, by the way, somebody else causing the steal and him getting the steal. So.
Maybe. Yeah. But it was at least enough frustrating moments to make this a rough Tobias game. And it's just like, dude, this is it. Like, you want to be the guy. You want to like. He's not complaining about the way that that Harden complained as far as like sacrifice and I don't get to do what I want kind of thing. And he has sort of reverted, as he kind of always does. He reverts back to the old Tobias. And Nick Nurse is like, go be an offensive rebounding guy. Go be a transition guy. Go be anything.
He's just always going to be Kobe.
You get like a 10-game stretch where he's doing other stuff, and then it just sort of reverts back to the way that it was. And it always leaves you a little bit lacking, a little bit wanting more. But he played 38 minutes, and he wasn't good enough. And this was the game that he could have been.
Yeah. So on to the good stuff. Patrick Beverly hitting being the fucking offensive force and the energy force that he was in this game is stunning. Offensive in a number of ways, and an energy in a number of ways that seem like he's been saving it up for like years or something.
Some blow-bys
and floaters and step back threes, and like I was sure
2
every
step
shot
back
was
threes.
going
One over
in.
Jaylen Brown, one over Luke Cornett that tied it late in the game. It felt like the Celtics kept trying to pull away.
Yeah.
And just they were hitting shots, man. Patrick Beverly, for the first 3 weeks of the season, it was like, why is he not taking threes? Why, when he does by accident take a 3, is he short on everything? And then the last couple weeks, week or 2, just been back. He was 3 of 5 from 3 tonight. Hit 2 step backs. You just got to be ready to step into it, babe. That's it. Yeah. And he was the shot was on tonight. He had a couple nice scoops and finishes inside, some like pivots off a drive. He had like a pump fake into a spin, into a hook shot. He's providing rim pressure. Some really nice stuff, and some frustrating stuff that he got, I think, dinged on reputation, like that. Jaylen Brown punching him in the nuts,
in the dick, yeah,
and then Nick Nurse immediately challenging it, rightfully so, and them not overturning that. It's like what we're all looking at it.
Yeah, what's the replay for?
This isn't like what are we doing? He punched him in the dick and pushed off. So what is there to do?
Is it possible that the rule book, that they're trying to keep the rule book clean and there's no mention of punching anyone in the dick in the rule?
Yeah,
book?
There's no rule that says dogs can't play in the NBA.
Yeah.
At the very least, if they go like, hey, we can't tell for sure if this happened, but at least you get another challenge. Because there's a rule this year. This is new this year.
Yeah.
That if you win your first challenge, you get a second. Mm-hmm. And straight up, like, there were times later in the game that like you would have challenged, and it's like, well, they already said you lose the challenge when Pat Bev got punched in the dick by Jaylen Brown. And Jalen and Jason they just push off every time with that offhand all the time. Tatum whines so much for a guy who gets like occasionally gets his wrist touched. He gets fouled like the least of any superstar.
Well, because he's either fading or stepping back on every shot that he takes.
But he whines so much. Like, at least Luka is like taking it in. He's getting slapped. He's getting hit. They're landing on him. He's getting the guy to jump up, whatever. But Tatum doesn't really do that much. And he's just constantly complaining to the refs for little stuff. It's very bizarre. And he got ejected. And I think I'm happy about it. They should have won this game, man. It was a frustrating one. Yeah. They gave up 44 points in the first quarter. That's ultimately when they did it. Like the defense bounced back later in the game, but they're just. I'm saying, you can tell me to shut up, like, because I say it every podcast. They're overhelping. Like CJ, put up that thing that I sent you. They do this all the time.
Is this going to be the AU screenshot?
It's the AU screenshot, yeah. There's like 75 of them. Like, what are we doing?
So what we're looking at here is a screenshot where Jason Tatum has the ball at the 3-point line, and Tobias Harris is in the paint,
18 feet away from him. What are we doing?
18 feet away, guarding a guy that Patrick Beverly is already guarding.
Yes. So Drew drives into the paint.
Yep.
Tobias dips down so far.
Yeah.
And thinks, well, I have plenty of time to get over to Jason Tatum. I just don't understand. How do they watch this? Because there's not a ton of practice happening.
No.
So it's like,
not during the season.
Right. So it's like they're just watching a lot of film and running and doing shoot arounds. And so when they're watching film and they see this, would you rather Drew Holiday take a contested mid-range shot into the paint with Pat Bev on him and Mo Bamba behind him? Or would you rather Jason Tatum take a catch and shoot 3 wide open? I'm asking you, Spike.
I don't want to take the option when Jason Tatum is shooting a wide open 3.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. I just straight up don't understand it. Is it that, are they being coached this way? I would like the Sixers public relations staff who texts us to tell me the answer. What is it supposed to be? Is the Sixers coaching staff like, yes, this is right? Because Pat Bev is a guy that can, there has to hang with the guy you're covering. And are they just watching the ball? Are they just getting distracted? What level of, and this is not just a Nick Nurse thing. This is not just a this year thing. This is years of it. And it's a ton of NBA basketball, honestly, where it's like everybody's offense knows for a fact that the ideal situation is to get open catch and shoot threes or like layups at the rim or fouls. And the defense, when they switch to the other side of the court, they go like, we forgot all of that. We don't know anything at all. The stuff that's happening when we're on offense, we don't give a fuck. We want to give this offense, the other team, everything they want. And all you got to do is like not even beat your guy, but just theoretically dribble towards a possibility where you could beat your guy. And whether it's Tobias or Melton does this way too much. Way too much. They're helping off of shooters. Melton helped off of Sam Hauser, who is only there to catch and shoot threes. And it's like, guys, this is what they want you to do. Don't you feel gullible doing it? I don't understand. I say it every single podcast. I can't imagine this is interesting to listen to, but I say it every single podcast, and I need the Sixers to make a public statement to me about this situation because it happens too much, and I feel bad for the listeners, but I keep saying it. What else am I supposed to say? This is half of it. They gave up 44 points in the first fucking half because they just kept leaving shooters to help on a guy who might take it contested too. What are we doing?
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Mortgage CS. Mortgage CS. CS, what does it stand for? That's a weird name. It stands for concierge service. You know, if you're in for concierge service, you're going to get treated right. Mortgage CS is going to make you a VIP. CS VIP. Treat you right. They're an independent mortgage broker. They are based right here in the area. They have no ties to any banks that you do not know about. So you know when you go to Mortgage CS to get a mortgage that they are dedicated to one person. That is to you. They are going to work with you to get you the best loan for your home. They're going to work with you to explain the entire process to you. They're going to be available to you morning, noon, night. They are good people who care and want you to be happy and informed and also satisfied with the loan that you get for your home. They're great. Mortgage CS. Call or text Ben, their CEO, who will be available for you whenever you need them. Whoever you're working with at Mortgage CS will be available for you whenever you need them. 267-391-7425. 267-391-7425. Here's another reason to use Mortgage CS and don't just Google the biggest mortgage company. You go and you put your information into it. When you Google one of the first 5 results, when you Google a mortgage company, what's going to happen is you're going to get called by fucking 5 mortgage companies for the rest of your fucking life. They're going to send you emails. They're going to call you. Mortgage CS does not do that. Another thing, as I mentioned, these big ones, they have deals with banks. So you don't know really in your heart whether they're leaning you to one bank or another bank for them or for you. That is not what Mortgage CS does. Every Ricky listener who has gone to Mortgage CS and worked with them for a mortgage has been thrilled, has told us about it, has felt good about it. You will too. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky to schedule a consultation or call or text your CEO, Ben, right now. In fact, I want somebody who's listening live now, watching live now, text Ben and ask them why the Sixers overhelp on defense every time. 267-391-7425. Someone in the chat do it. 267-391-7425. Let us know what Ben says. If you don't believe me, you should. Search on Google. You'll see. Mortgage CS has tons of 5-star reviews. Again, mortgagecs.com/Ricky or call or text Ben 267-391-7425. This advertisement not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. Back to something good. DeAnthony Melton continues this heater he's been on for like 3 weeks now, for like a month now. He was great in this game, both defensively and offensively, I thought. A sick block, by the way. But I've continued to be impressed with him, like, offensively. He's not just a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Like, he shoots contested. He can take step backs. He's very confident. He lets it fly. I thought he was... And I thought, Bob Myers definitely needs some lessons on color commentary, but I thought his point, as soon as Melton went out, that the Sixers were in trouble, was they needed him. They really needed him, and he played great tonight.
Yeah, 4-12 from deep. Just the volume is something that they needed. Just active everywhere. One of the reasons I'll always love him. Like, he missed the 3. He hustles to get his own rebound, rises up, gets a contested rebound. And it's just like, I love that kind of athleticism and like willingness to take the shot. He's not an excellent shooter. He's a good shooter. He looks balanced on his step backs. His step backs are not like, he's not getting crazy. Maxey gets so much distance on his step backs. Yeah. Melton just gets a little bit of a bounce to get it off, but he shoots it high, and he's just a solid shooter. It really is very helpful. He had 21 points tonight. Attack the rim, had a couple nice finishes. I want to give him some credit for that, but he has one. He had one at the end of the first quarter when he goes in, and it looked on the first watch like he shot it backwards, and I thought, yeah,
you got to pick out the bad one.
That tracks.
Yeah,
but it did get blocked. It got blocked by Banton. I watched it in slow motion. He ended up fouling out, and they were pretty hopeless without him. But it was a solid Melton game. Made a bunch of nice plays. Is just like a helpful player. If he's your 5th best player, you're in good shape. I thought he's just Shots going to come and go. Decision making around the rim is going to be pretty bad. Turn the ball over too many times on some kind of weak, stupid stuff.
He had to do too much. You know,
had to do too much. Absolutely.
Is,
and that's why I wrote the article in the newsletter this week, rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter, about just needing another guy who can handle the ball, who can get into the paint. And Beverly kind of proved that wrong tonight, as far as if Maxey was there and Beverly is this guy every night, as far as beating his guy off the dribble and a willingness to shoot. That's very nice. He's still not, he's not a creative passer. He sort of has tunnel vision, Beverly, as a, guy with the ball in his hands. But he did enough to be like, yes, in the 8 minutes that Maxey will miss in the playoffs, like Beverly is fine. But I wouldn't mind them giving other guys a shot, whether it's extended Korkmaz run, who didn't play well tonight.
No.
Or
what the fuck happened to him, man? He was good, wasn't he? Or am I crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like,
he was playable.
He needs Embiid there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he did lead the Sixers in plus minus tonight, +4 in 15 minutes. Or like a Javonte Smart or Terquavion Smith, or like minor upgrades elsewhere. Like, just try it. It's worth trying, because they need. They're so dependent on Maxey. It's crazy. Maybe it's not, like, I was thinking, is Tobias, do you run more Tobias pick and rolls without a point guard in there? Do you just decide, if we can't get transition opportunities, we go?
Fuck him. No.
Wow. The Ricky zone, Tobias Harris.
No, fuck him. No. I'm so mad at him for tonight's game.
He had a tough game. He's had a tough stretch. He had a good start to the season and a tough stretch.
Dan Olinger tweeted during the game that he just can't understand how last year Robert Covington was out of the Clippers rotation.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. He is so disruptive on defense.
He's great.
He is so disruptive. He had he ended with 5 steals, but 5 steals and a half of basketball tonight. And every time his hands are so quick. And Mike, not only does he have quick hands, but he reaches in a way that a lot of guys get called for fouls. Like, he has good quick hands where he's not getting nailed for fouls when he does it. He is excellent, man. Like, Robert Covington is an excellent player. Like, he has become a really excellent player, and he was great tonight too. He was great defensively, hit a couple of big threes, Thought he played a good game. He's, again, at the end, couple of possessions, that's not what you want Robert Covington doing, but they were down to, so.
Yeah, showed his limitations. Drew pulled the chair on him one time. It was a nice play on Drew's part. But he's at least capable, especially around Embiid and Maxey, to do some stuff. 18 points on 9 shots, 7 of 7 from the line, 3 of 6 from deep, 5 steals and a block. Got a bunch of tough rebounds, a couple offensive. He immediately comes in and gets 2 poke outs and a catch and shoot 3. Like, he just makes shit happen. He played 30 minutes tonight. I would let him. There's very rarely a situation. It's hard to conceive of a situation where I would believe, yes, I want Tobias playing more minutes than Covington.
No, yeah.
If maybe the only situation is Embiid is playing, Maxey is not. But if they're probably going to get fucked in that game anyway. So it's like, Covington is a better defensive player than Tobias. He's a more willing shooter than Tobias. He moves the ball faster than Tobias. Both of them, Covington has proven to be a more willing cutter than Tobias. And Tobias he's finished around the rim. He's had a couple nice finishes tonight around the rim. Like, there's helpful stuff there. I was texting with Mike O'Connor, who writes for the Ricky, like, he wants to just trade Tobias in an Anunoby trade. And I'm like, why? You could just trade Marcus Morris and get both. And tonight is not a good night to make that case. But when he's playing efficient basketball, it's helpful to have him out there. And he has made a number of helpful mid-range shots, bully ball shots. You got the wrong guy covering him, he's going to take you into the post and take an 8-footer over your head type thing. But
if Anunoby's on the team, I wouldn't want Tobias Harris on the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's MOC's position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't take every minute he gets, and between Batum, Covington, and Anunoby, there's all of Tobias Harris's minutes. I can't imagine wanting Tobias Harris on the team in that situation.
Well, there's certainly no reason for him to play 38 minutes tonight in a game that he wasn't good in. Maybe you could say Melton foul trouble, whatever, but yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And I didn't think it was a good Marcus Morris game. He had some shots.
He didn't really even play in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, he played 28 minutes. That's he played more than Covington for much of the game until he didn't play most of the fourth. He's just like, guys are just going to make every shot around him. It's just going to keep happening. He hits a couple shots. It's nice. He did, have a nice block on Jaylen Brown earlier in the game. Like, he's played better than he has earlier in the season. I want to give him credit for that, but he shouldn't be in a rotation on a good team. He shouldn't.
I forgot the Celtics fans are listening live. I forgot. They come.
But yeah, nice Covington game. I thought there were I'm going to give you some, you're going to shoot this down, but like in the same way that Mo Bamba played a little better in last game, and then he played well tonight. He hit 2 threes. He had 5 offensive rebounds. I thought he looked hungrier. A couple putback dunks. Those were helpful.
He played well, but Mike, can I ask you this? Do you think I could strip the ball from Mo Bamba?
Yeah, I probably do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I think he'd be pretty distracted. I think he'd be pretty distracted by your dildo leg.
Yeah.
He had a 2 really big threes off of Pat Beverly passes. Like, that's how long have I been wanting a stretch 4? Stretch 5. We've been doing this podcast for 10 years. And Mo Bamba and BBall Paul just hitting threes.
Yeah, B-ball.
Backing up Joel Embiid.
By the way, the B-ball back down of Al Horford.
Well, we'll get to B-ball. I want to say, let me finish the thing. In the same way that I saw a little bit out of Bamba, like he's turning a corner in last game, even though he didn't actually statistically do it, and then had a good game this game, I saw a couple KJ Martin turning the corner plays tonight, where he didn't play well tonight, but there were a couple plays.
That guy stinks.
But there were a couple plays that I was like, that's feeling good. You're getting a little bit more comfortable. A couple like finger rolls that rimmed out. It's like, bro, you're the most athletic player on the court, and also you're 6'6". Like, you gotta dunk everything. Grow up. I like him as a threat, a lob threat, a roll guy, all that stuff. But man, yeah, he had a 3-on-1 with just Tatum back, and Tatum slapped it down off his knee. And it's like, either you get fouled there, or you dunk, or you throw a pass to somebody else to get an easy layup. Like, you can't 3-on-1 turn the ball over. That's embarrassing. But I'm anticipating that, it looks like Oubre's pretty close to being back. It seems like Batum's not going to be out for a while. Whatever.
Play on Wednesday. They said Oubre is.
He is playing. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's going to play on Wednesday.
If KJ had like one more game, then I do think that you'd start to see like, oh, that's a helpful play.
I don't think so.
Maybe not, but I like the athleticism. You're not going to. You have enough athleticism and a willingness to roll hard, and you got some goods. I'm happy to have you here. Yeah. But there's in a different, he'd be such a nice process Sixer. First of all, we know that. Wow, and now the Sixers are like flush with wings who can do stuff, and so he's a little bit less necessary
because he stinks.
Well, he just is not as good as Covington and Bamba Covington and Oubre and Batum and all that stuff. So he's just not going to be able to get comfortable. So he's probably back out of the rotation. Dan House has been out, all that stuff.
Can we talk about B-ball now?
Let's talk about B-ball, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, the back down,
several times.
And there's, I think it was the back down or was it a different play?
There were several of them.
It wasn't the back. Okay, so there was the back down with like the little hook or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was one where he was like crossing him over, and then spun around and put him on his back, and then I think shot a fadeaway.
A fadeaway one-handed floater.
Yeah.
I counted. I rewound and counted. How many times do you think B-ball dribbled in that play?
Oh, 8?
It is exactly 8. Okay. 8 is correct. 8 is the exact number. He had him in hell. I love it. I love it. I love B-ball. You don't know what he's
gonna fucking do.
You don't know what he's gonna do. He's weird. Let him be weird, and that's why Doc never played him. It was malpractice for Doc to never play him, as Embiid's backups were getting absolutely torched, and B-ball did some good stuff. We didn't talk about it on the last podcast because it was after such a bad loss, but B-ball calling out Anthony Davis as a flopper,
yes,
is.
Just keep it at 100. Keep it at 50 times too, as he said.
Beautiful stuff from B-ball. Yeah. Be the like I'm trying to think of a wrestling comparison to this, but like he's not the main guy in the stable, but as like the shit talking guy for the main guy, so he can get in the muck with somebody else.
Is he the X-Pac?
Yeah, I mean it's an X-Pac situation while Triple H is Embiid. I think that's a fair one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. BBall with a really nice cut, a heady cut from the corner off of when Boston doubled Tobias, got a dunk out of it. That was good. Hit that above the break three. I mean, 6 of 8, 14 points. Good stuff. He took him out a little bit early for me, 22 minutes in this game. I didn't think.
Well, Bamba was playing well, I guess.
Bamba was playing well, but there's no reason for them to not play together. Like Marcus Morris is not good enough where you go like, well, he has to be in there. And Reed and Bamba's minutes combined for 42, so there's 6 minutes that neither of them were on the court, and those were not successful minutes. I want to see BBall be empowered to be a Giannis-esque havoc maker. Because he's good. He's fine in the backup sense as a rim protector, but and he makes guys take tough shots and all that stuff.
But if he could play with a center, then he can free safety a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I should be allowed to see it. I should be permitted to see it.
Well, he played with Joel for a few minutes during the Laker game, right? He did, didn't he? If I remember correctly, a couple minutes maybe.
All season it's been very, very few.
Yeah.
But I loved him putting Embiid in, or putting Horford in hell a couple times in this game.
Horford ain't in his head. Like, you know what I mean? Like
That's
Horford
good.
might be in Joel's head, but he ain't in B-Ball's head. You know,
B-Ball
not a lot.
Thankfully doesn't have anybody in his head. He just has B-Ball in his head. It's his name. It is his profession, and that's what's there. I love him. This would have been the last thing I'll say about this game.
Yeah,
would have been a perfect Kelly Oubre 5-assist game.
Yeah,
would have been a perfect Kelly Oubre 5-assist game,
so
and we didn't get it
with 0 for the year. You're gonna.
I'm counting this as 1.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Mike, you were doing a whole ring thing with LL.
I did,
sent the ring thing. Did it all go okay? So
well,
far?
we sent it. Alyssa put it in the mail the other day.
Yep.
And so I'm not wearing one now. It's very weird to not have my ring on after my whole life of not wearing a ring. I don't wear it for 2 days, and I'm just like fidgeting with the area where it used to be.
I'm a ring fidgeter as well.
And so he'll send that thing all back, and I'll get to play with it. I keep thinking I lost it, but
speaking of wedding rings, so I wore mine into when I had the hip replacement. I wore it into the OR, into the room, and you're not allowed to wear any jewelry. So one of the surgeons,
it's on the dildo.
Yes, so it's actually in my leg. Mm-hmm. So one of the surgeons is like, "Hey, you got to give me that ring." I give her the ring. They give me the stuff. I pass out. I get home that night. Ring's gone. Not on my finger. Panic.
Oh my God.
Call the doctor's office the next day. I'm like, "Hey, this is what happened." She calls me back 5 minutes later. She goes, "Check your jacket pocket." The ring's in the jacket pocket.
LL's in the jacket pocket.
Yeah. LL Pavorsky Jewelers. LL is the first advertiser on the Ricky. Over 300 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have purchased engagement rings from LL. He is an outstanding person. He is honest. He is not going to pressure you. He is going to treat you amazing, no matter whether you're spending $1,000 on an engagement ring, $100,000 on an engagement ring, maybe slightly better with the $100,000, but only slightly. He is so intent on giving you the best service possible that the store's not like open. You have to make an appointment to go there. And the reason he does that is not to be difficult. No. He wants to make sure that he has the proper time to spend with you. He wants to talk to you beforehand to ask you what you'll need. And then he can lay everything out for you. And maybe you're bringing the person that you're proposing to. Maybe you're bringing that person's mother and sister, whatever. He wants the situation to be perfect. I trust him implicitly. I would have let him do the surgery on my hip.
Wow.
That's how much I trust LL.
Dildo surgery.
Dildo in the hip. 215-627-2252 is the number you want to call to make an appointment. He has had his store at 707 Walnut for over 3 decades. You could also email him, lee@llpavorsky.com, tweet at him at llpavorsky. A generous donor to our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
How have I never gotten drunk with LL?
How about? So we're done with this fucking game, right? I think it would have been a nice.
Should count as a win.
Yeah,
half a point.
Moral victory for sure, right?
Big time. And I would have been so annoyed if Maxey was friggin' 40% and Nick Nurse goes like, well, I'm gonna play him 41 minutes. I would have been so annoyed by it. So I'm happy he's out. Just like fucking rest. Guys are sick. It's December 1st. This game doesn't matter. They have a bunch of very, very winnable games over the next 2 weeks. The playoffs. What if Maxey got like bronchitis? I would have been furious.
He didn't play.
I know, but I was mad at the idea that he could have.
He didn't play.
Yeah, Sixers do have a good stretch.
Yes,
coming up.
A couple of Wizards games, Bulls game in there.
Pistons,
2 Pistons games. So.
Yep, Hornets coming up.
Before we get to the system update and Starhunter, we haven't done this in a while. I feel like off of the LL thing, I feel like me and Mike each having an adult beverage. It's a good time for Brian Colangelo relationship advice. Our relationship advice theme song from Eliza Hardy-Jones, our own Eliza Hardy-Jones.
On the Eagles 53-man roster.
On the Eagles 53-man roster.
Eliza Hardy-Jones.
In War on Drugs, of course, now. I was going to say...
A mother of a child.
Yes, mother of a child. She and Andrew, congratulations, which we've already done. But this comes from... We don't say the name. He didn't say not to say the name, but I'm not going to say the name. This comes from Anthony. Hey guys, my girlfriend 29, and I, 31, have been together for 9 months. Our relationship is great. I dare say LL Pavorsky will receive a call in 2 to 3 years if all continues to go well.
Wow.
In a short 2 to 3 years. My only concern is our pet situation. I've lived most of my life with dogs, but currently only have a small 4-year-old cat. Shout out cats. My girlfriend has a large 3-year-old pit bull Rottweiler mix. He's a very lovable buffoon, but he is also a bite risk. He doesn't expound on and specifically why we think he's a bite risk. But anyway, we currently live in separate apartments in the same complex. Around New Year's, we were going to bring our pets.
Separate apartments, same complex.
Yeah. Around New Year's, we were going to begin bringing our pets together as we're considering renting a house together after our lease ends next winter. However, I'm having second thoughts because of the pets. I don't think my cat will be happy living in a house with a dog it fears. The dog is so much bigger, it isn't well trained, and it's very energetic. I can't see my cat ever being comfortable around the dog. I'm considering asking to push our potential move date 1 to 2 years back. I would hope the dog calms down with age. If he doesn't, I think the worst case scenario is we live in a duplex and have the pets forever separated. Am I taking this too far by overthinking it? Any feedback is helpful. Thanks, guys. I have no thoughts on this.
You got to let them work through it.
Yeah.
Let them work through it.
Here's the thing, man. I think you are projecting your own fears onto your cat. You're saying your cat's scared of the dog. Cat's never even met the dog, bro. Cat's never even met the dog. Let the cat meet the dog. See how it goes. You know, I'll tell you from experience. I had a cat. It was my first pet ever. Alabama. God rest her soul. I lived with Alabama. Alabama lived with me and my wife, and we adopted Rebel. And because we adopted Rebel from Aruba, we did not have a chance for them to meet beforehand. We were terrified. We brought Rebel home in the middle of the night. Alabama had never lived with another animal as long as I had her. Rebel walks into the house. They touch noses. They never had a bad day. Not once ever. And I reminded my wife, now I don't know the size of this cat. She was worried. Well, what if Alabama, she's so much smaller than the dog. She can also jump on top of the fridge in like a moment's notice. She can get through holes that the dog can't get. Like cats are savvy. Cats are savvy. They're survivors. They're survivors. I think the dog is bigger. It doesn't matter. I think you gotta try for a night and see how it goes, and then try for another night and see how it goes.
Not a reason to push a move in by several years.
No, just to hope the dog calms down. Like I'm not trying to psychoanalyze you, but Here's what I would tell you to think about. If you're not ready to move in with her, don't move in with her yet. Like, if you're not ready.
He's already saying there's an LL call, so I don't know if it's a.
In 2 to 3 years, that's 3 times as long as they've even been dating.
Yeah, but they haven't lived together yet.
Yeah,
and he's ready to say
saying.
LL call. So I don't think it's if he's saying LL call in the email, regardless of how much time it's going to be.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like, and I'm scared. I feel like you could just avoid. You could have not said the LL piece. So I don't think it's simply a I'm scared relationship wise. I think it might just be I'm worried about my cat, which is fine. I'm saying you got to work through it.
I think you got to work through it too. And what I would do is I would have, like, look, you live in the same complex. Have her walk over to your apartment with the dog and see how it goes. Maybe they'll fucking love each other. You know, just give it a try. Give it a try. That would be my advice, is to give it a try. And then in 2 to 3 short years, you'll be calling LL. 2 to 3 short years. Mike, let's go star hunting. Of course, star hunting, our segment we do every pod, as Daryl now is armed with first-round picks, the ghost of Jaden Springer, salaries that he can trade to improve the team.
Expirings for sure.
Expirings. Let's go to the voicemail line for our first Star Hunter suggestion, 833 Lickface.
What up, Spike, Mike, and CJ? Nick from Atlanta. Star Hunter call here. My star that I kind of want the Sixers to keep an eye on is DeJounte Murray. It's not really working out in Atlanta between he and Trae Young. It seems like when Trae has a good game, Murray has a bad game. When Murray has a great game, Trae has a bad game. They just don't seem to fit well. I think he would fit very well with Tyrese Maxey. They can both put pressure on the rim. Murray can guard. He's not an elite defensive player like he was billed in San Antonio. I think it helped a lot that he played next to other defensive backcourt players. You pair him with Trae Young, and all of a sudden it's like, well, he's not what we thought he was. I think if you put him next to Maxey, at least offensively, I think it would work very well. You have two guys who can drive downhill, hit shots from every level of the court. I think that Maxey's ability to play off ball, unlike Trae Young, would absolutely help out Murray. Murray has developed
All right, Nick from Atlanta getting a little wordy there. That's on me. Love you, Nick from Atlanta. DeJounte Murray. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I mean, nice player. Raised his volume from 3 to a career high.
Oh, no. CJ, do you see this?
Almost 6 attempts per game. Almost 38%. Very solid. He's a very good defensive player. He can get to the rim. Can get in the paint. Solid passer. I just don't know, like, he's better than DeAnthony Melton, for sure. But is he, like, all the picks we have to offer better than DeAnthony Melton? And that's the question I have. So I also think the Hawks are 9-9 right now. I think they're going to see this thing through. It's tough because there's guys that you go like, yeah, that's a B-. And so I think DeJounte Murray would be a B-. I think, Marcus Smart would be a B-. Jeremy Grant would be a B-. I mean, in a different direction, Zach LaVine offensively would be interesting, but defensively tough. And I was talking to a buddy who's a Bulls fan. Like, LaVine's never played in a meaningful game.
No.
So I guess there's hope that he could play better defense when it matters. I don't know how much that is, but that's a speculative thing.
So DeJounte Murray. No?
Wouldn't be in my top 5 of guys I would want.
I think he's a loser.
Loser?
I don't think he passes the eye test to me. I think he's one of these guys that thinks he's better than he is, and he is a conceptual player. He is a put him next to player. He is a hey, you can put him next to our guard who can't guard. And all of a sudden, he is a good athlete. He's got good size.
He's Melton with more ball skills.
Yeah, he is skilled. He's stronger than, he's bigger physically than Melton.
Mm-hmm.
But
a couple inches taller, yeah.
But also, for a guy that you think is not going to be like a ball dominant player, when I watch him, I think he thinks that he's that guy. And I think that people think he's Drew Holiday, but he's not Drew Holiday. That's what I think about DeJounte Murray. Wouldn't want him on the team.
Who do you want?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have my heart set on anybody, I think. I tend to talk myself out of players.
Yeah, it's when you look around, you go like, man, there's so many guys that are like kind of in this tier, which is like what, the 26th to 42nd best player in the league.
Yeah.
And you go like, look at all these guys. They could be, and those teams are not doing so good. Yeah. So maybe they would want to trade. They're possible. You don't have to convince yourself of like, oh, it's just Mikal Bridges or bust or Paul George or bust or whatever. That's not going to happen. But there's other guys that are like, yeah, that'd be pretty good. But then you go like, how much better is that guy than
what they already have?
Like
that's we got a call. I won't play it, but he was like begging the Sixers not to trade for Alex Caruso. He's like, it's just don't trade a first for Alex Caruso.
I really feel strongly that it's going to take more than just a first. Maybe
I said that. I think it'll take two. I think it'll take two firsts.
Caruso. I would like to be a sort of fly on the wall for what it takes. I would like to not be in that bidding. Where like you're in an auction draft of a fantasy league and you go like, I'm interested to see how high this goes, but I'm not involved in it. But I don't know. I maybe it takes a first round pick in like 2 seconds and a young player that's interesting. I definitely wouldn't trade 2 firsts for him because that would be that's the move.
If you're trading for Alex Caruso, you should be an inch from a championship.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Sixers are an inch from a championship. All right, I have 2 emails I wanted to read you because I thought they were both interesting. One you will like, and the other one is an interesting thought experiment for Starhunter. This comes from Jimmy to Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Hi, Spike, Mike, CJ, and Mr. President. Mikal Bridges is the absolute perfect players to slot onto this team, and fans would 100% be in on him given the history.
Sure.
It also feels impossible that Brooklyn would trade him, which led me to thinking about some creative offers that would make the trade at least theoretically possible.
Yeah. We put Tracy McGrady in a time machine, and we get a bunch of drugs.
This train of thought led me to an interesting question. Would you trade Tobias Harris, Marcus Morris, and all of your picks and swaps for Mikal? Oh, sorry, wrong button.
Was that a baby sound?
It was a baby.
What the fuck?
For Mikal Bridges.
Just has access to baby sound. 10 years of this podcast, never used baby sound. All of a sudden, press one button, baby sound. Been there the whole time.
Outside of the picks, okay. Tobias Harris, Marcus Morris, and all the picks for Mikal Bridges and Ben Simmons. Outside of the picks, taking the rest of that contract for expiring deals may be the best value we can offer the Nets. The free agency strategy probably makes more sense for them as well, considering they have actual success in attracting stars recently. Would getting Mikal Bridges be a reasonable package, be worth bringing back Ben Simmons and his contract? It's interesting.
Oh, I like that you're saying it's interesting. I like it.
Well,
this is why money. I wanted. This is why I wanted in like the targeting Lonzo and going like, well, Lonzo's interesting because like if a better less cheap organization with a better medical staff, not that the Sixers are known for their tremendous medical staff, if they can do that, then maybe it's possible. I don't think Brooklyn is willing to do that. I think it's more likely than just saying here's all we have for Mikal. I think they're not trading for pretty much anything. It's more likely if they go, all right, you get to get off of Ben, and I like it on a theoretical standpoint. I think it is an honorable thing when you put together a fake trade, and there's like, hey, we'll take We know we're getting a better player, but we will take your bad shit. And that's interesting to me, and I think it is saucy as far as Ben's return goes. I don't think that Brooklyn does it, and I think the Sixers would do it, though. I don't know how pumped Joel would be about it, but I do think that...
Well, Ben would never play again. He's also... He all of a sudden, we had the update a week ago that, he has a nerve thing, and we'll hear from him in a week. And it's one of these things where we won't hear from him again this year, I think.
This year, you think? You think
yeah,
done for the year?
He's not playing again this year, I don't think.
Wow.
Yeah. So, final trade, only because it is a team that you love talking about. Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com.
My Magic?
Your Magic.
Let's go.
This comes from Anthony. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. Been thinking about star hunting for a while. By the way, I would say 70% of our emails and voicemails are star hunting. Been thinking about star hunting for a while and how Daryl said they will likely not get what they need from a single player they get in return. What if they could get it from two? Sixers get Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, Goga Bataze. Magic get Marcus Morris, BBall Paul, Jaden Springer, Pat Bev. It says various draft capital. I think you got it.
That's insane.
You're probably getting. You don't want it.
No.
Jonathan Isaac's really good. Well, he does. He's never healthy. He's theoretically good.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
he's an intriguing bench role player. Yeah. But he has so clearly not proven anything in the playoffs, playing like very few minutes per game. A really intriguing defensive player, but no. He's signed to a big contract. No. And I like Jalen Suggs, but no.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by...
Not trading BBall Paul. What are we doing?
I know. Well, I don't think we can trade BBall Paul.
December. 2 weeks.
Right.
We are in December.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process, a 4-generation family-owned and operated auction house in Garnet Valley. Everybody loved the Black Friday sports memorabilia and sneaker sale. I got 3 pair of sneakers. I sent them to CJ. They're fucking awesome. I won 3 lots in the Black Friday sale. CJ, did you get any of the lots in the Black Friday sale?
I lost the 2 that I bid on, unfortunately. Yeah. And I was like 7 minutes out, highest bidder, and then I went to do an errand and I got outbid. So tough luck.
Fucking loser. The only one now that they're doing real estate now, Mike. They had a house up in Westchester a week ago, and they have one in Gap, PA. CJ, where's Gap? Is it do you want to Google it?
It's at the Oxford Valley Mall.
Is that where it is?
I'm sure the Oxford Valley Mall has a Gap.
No, not a Gap, but Gap, PA. Anyway, look, that's the great thing about Briggs Auction. We're talking about sneakers CJ and I were bidding on. CJ's got some vintage clothes from there. I got some vintage fucking posters, collectibles, art, furniture, one-of-a-kind furniture. It's everything. That's the greatest thing about Briggs. You got to download the app. Download the app in the App Store or Google Play, BRIGGS, or go to briggsauction.com. What I suggest is you go in there once a week and see what they have. Cars in these auctions. Cars. Records. Fucking, there were 2 Jim Thome bats in the auction this past week.
Oh, hell yeah.
It is fun. Jim Thome, who is really the inflection point for the Phillies. I suggest you go to briggsauction.com or check the app every week. The bidding is fun. There's cool shit there.
Any Bobby Abreu stuff?
I haven't looked, but you could check. I'm sure they have had.
I need to be notified of any new Bobby Abreu stuff.
Bobby Abreu. We should do a pod all on Bobby Abreu.
I'm sure we have.
Dismantle the myth of Bobby Abreu.
He's the best.
The millennial myth of Bobby Abreu.
He's fantastic.
If you win an auction, pickup is easy by appointment during the week or Saturday's open pickup. Tom in the Twitch chat is a big Briggs Auction guy. Am I right, CJ? Tom's a big Briggs Auction guy.
Yeah, it's a millennial thing to like baseball players who are good at everything.
Bobby Abreu,
who are fast,
whose team was magically better once he left.
It's baseball.
Yeah, it happens.
It's a different sport. You can't have one guy just carry a whole team. It's baseball.
Info@briggsauction.com if you're downsizing, you want to auction stuff yourself. Otherwise, briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. Now, before we get to the finalists for naming Dan Olinger's column, Mike, there was something that appeared on Instagram today, and I would like to give credit to the person who sent it to us, to the Ricky Instagram. Of course, I never check the Ricky Instagram. It's only CJ, so I don't know. Wait, hold on. Was it there? Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, who sent us this. Mike, this video appeared on Instagram within the last 48 hours. CJ, show it to him. I don't know what CJ's doing. What does he produce? That's what we have to ask ourselves.
CJ is adjusting his beanie as we speak.
Yeah.
Making sure his beanie is in the perfect
pop up on the thing.
Harden video?
Yeah.
James Harden, master of the swish. He swishes here, swishes there, swishes everywhere. Pinky in swishes, pinky out swishes. And let's not forget the Euro swish. Because that's how real swishers do.
Swish. There it is.
Work hard, play Harden.
Mike, your thoughts?
People gotta stop with this fucking British shit, man.
That's your reaction.
It's such. Fucking stop with this. Guy's a British accent.
Yeah.
Gotta be funny.
Yeah. It's not
the same fucking music.
Yeah.
As everything.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. I will say, Harden's performance better than I would have expected. Certainly better than I would have expected. Absolutely.
So, our new writer,
how much is he swishing? Realistically,
James Harden? No, come on,
not that much.
He's not drinking that wine. You kidding? There's no way he's drinking that wine.
And there are still just two flavors, and it's a red and a red blend. Is that what it is?
It's something for everyone.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
People gotta stop.
I guess he is satisfying. He is satisfying everybody's different palates, a variety of palates. But there's a red and there's one that's a red blend. I guess that's right.
A second drink. Somebody in the chat asked if I was just drinking vodka neat and then called me a psychopath. And the answer is yes. I drink everything neat. So Dan Olinger is the writer for Rights to Ricky Sanchez, newest writer for Rights to Ricky Sanchez.com. Dan_Olinger, Olinger. He was going to go up to Boston, but he decided not to go up to Boston. But he will be, I think, covering the Sixers-Hawks game for us on Wednesday. Anyway, his new column needs to be named, and we gave a bunch of suggestions during the last one, and Mike has whittled those suggestions down. CJ, I would ask that you put this poll in the Spotify, in the YouTube, on the Twitter. Are we good for that? Here are the four options. The first option, the Danny. The second option, obsessive little details. The third option, Ollie Oop. Ollie. Get it? Ollie Oop.
Specifically because the Sixers don't
have alley oops. Yeah, a very failed alley oop tonight with Furk and Mo Bamba. I don't know if you remember that. We got a basket interference on Mo Bamba because the pass was so bad.
I do remember that.
And then the fourth one, the linger at the intersection of Sixers and scout culture. That is a Mike suggestion, right? The linger.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
So we will let the voting go on until the next pod. I think that's probably fair.
Sure.
So there are the four options. The four options are the Danny, obsessive little details, Ollie Oop, and the linger. There we go. Do a couple of emails before we get... Which is
obviously a playoff of the Ringer.
Yes.
At the intersection of sports and pop culture. So sports and whatever the fuck I
Shout out Kill a Cow. Did he kill a cow? A couple of emails before we get out of here. This comes from Ben, Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Hey, Spike and Mike, basketball question. Embiid has clearly elevated his game. I was thinking about this earlier after the Laker game, actually. Embiid has clearly elevated his game, once again averaging 6.5 assists so far this season. What does he have to do to win MVP again?
Oh, I don't give a fuck.
Do you think he can overcome the media narrative from last year? I do think he can. Do you think Embiid could win MVP again?
I don't care.
You don't care at all?
Don't care. I hope he doesn't. Embarrassing. I felt embarrassed. I felt ashamed.
Oh, I didn't.
Last year. Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Last year during the playoffs?
Well, but I would have felt embarrassed whether he won the MVP or not. I'm happy he won the MVP.
Yes, at the time we were happy that Embiid won the MVP. But in the playoffs, we felt embarrassed that as the Sixers totally went down in embarrassing fashion, and Embiid failed to show up for most of Game 6 and all of Game 7. There was a collective, this is embarrassing that we ever rode for anybody. And then the award was handed out shortly after. Like,
I would love for him to win back to
what
back
an embarrassing
MVPs.
what an embarrassing thing that was. It was disgusting. So I don't care. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to.
Do you think he could?
No.
Okay. Non-basketball question. Has anyone ever pointed out that Mike can't say the word inherently? It's come up a bunch of times in recent episodes. I've never noticed this before. Do you have trouble with that word?
Well, I think I say inherently.
Oh, I don't think that's how you say it.
Either way.
Yeah.
I've heard it both. Sometimes I say either way.
I feel like, so I listened to Sharp's podcast, one of them, Sharp Tech with Ben Thompson, and both of them mispronounce like words all the time. I wonder if there's a thing over the last, 15 years as texting has, like if people have communicated less and less by voice and more by written word, that they don't hear words as much as they used to.
Maybe.
I think that's maybe possible.
I mean, I think less about texting and more just a diminishing of expertise actually mattering.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. But I think it's relatively common, and maybe it was common then that people just pronounce things wrong because everyone's doing their best. And I'm sure
Well, I'm not saying you're not doing your best.
Well, sometimes I'm not. We've been doing this podcast for a long time. You think I'm always doing my best? That's crazy.
No, just as a person, I think you're doing your best overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more voicemail, one more email. This came from 833 Lickface. I'm bringing this up because you say that you're a fan of this team.
Hey, y'all. This is Josh from Binghamton. Not a Sixers fan, but fan of the pod. I'm a miserable Pistons fan, and if any of you Sixers fans ever want to think about what life would have been like without the process, it's the current Pistons. The process is about being self-reflexive about what's going on, isn't it? And the Pistons are just dog shit with no understanding of what that is for. Anyway, Jigsaw, would you rather have hip replacement surgery or not work for 148 straight days? Love the pod. You guys are fucking amazing. The Pistons are not.
I would rather not work for 148 straight days, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, Spike on strike.
Yeah.
All right. See you in 5 months.
How are you? You like love the Pistons, right? And they've lost 17 straight games or 15 straight games. They didn't win a game all of November. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't say I specifically love the Pistons. I like a lot of players on the Pistons.
Yeah.
And they have dealt with a number of injuries. I'm certainly not a James Wiseman guy. I'm certainly not a Marvin Bagley guy. I don't think Isaiah Stewart should be in the starting lineup. I don't think Killian Hayes should be in the starting lineup. But I like Jalen Duren. I like Cade. I really like Asar Thompson. I'm intrigued by Jaden Ivey. Once Boyan is back, which is pretty soon, he should be helpful. I really, really like Marcus Sasser. There's enough interesting players where they should be more feisty, and they're 2-17, but their point differential is bad. But
is that of a
it could
1-18 team?
Yeah, no. The point differential is that of like a 4-13 team. I think they will be better once they have more shooting. Very clearly, they just were missing shooting. Like, it's crazy that they are starting so many non-shooters around a big guard in Cade. It was insane. And it was always very weird.
I've never been a Cade guy. It doesn't pass the eye test for me.
He looked really, really good the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Was doing a lot of special stuff, and that's with really, really bad spacing. I think that they will go on a small run. Can I predict a small run?
For the Pistons?
Yeah.
What's that, one win? Is a small run for the Pistons winning a game?
Would a small run be like 4-2?
Yes.
Okay.
At some for a team that's 2-17, I think that's fair.
At some point soon, they will go 4-2. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I do think they'll be better than the Wizards, maybe better than the Bulls, potentially better than the Hornets, depending on how quickly LaMelo gets back.
Final email. This comes from Steph. Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. After years of having a star tandem that was really just anyone looks good playing next to Joel Embiid, It's been refreshing to see the way Maxey and Embiid are actually thriving together. It felt rare to see them both having big games rather than the your turn, my turn dynamic, so I looked it up. Maxey and Embiid have already scored 30-plus in the same game more times this season than Harden and Embiid did all of last season, including the playoffs. This isn't as much of a question other than, doesn't it just feel great to have a duo of his stars that complement each other with no passive-aggressive bullshit to deal with? And is it safe to say that Embiid has officially recreated the JJ chemistry, only with a much better, less douchey partner?
Yeah.
And the non-basketball question is, do you guys read books? If so, any recommendations? The first thing is yes, it does feel very nice. It feels very nice to have a second star that I do not feel conflicted about at all. Felt conflicted about Ben the entire time. Felt conflicted about Harden the entire time. No conflict about Maxey whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right? It's nice.
I mean, that's why I think he's one of the most well-liked players in Philadelphia sports history at this moment. And maybe that goes away once more expectations are placed upon him. But at this moment, I think he's one of the most universally well-liked players in Philadelphia sports history. It's a joy. I do like to read. I just finished the book Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Okay.
I liked it.
Who's that by?
What's her name?
Jane.
Gabrielle Zevin.
Okay.
I read a couple other things recently that I'm now forgetting.
So I don't read a lot.
The drinking.
I read like 2 books a year because I either get distracted or fall asleep. So I will suggest books that I really, really loved because the only books that I end up finishing are books that I really, really love. So I will do 2 from 2 authors. I don't usually read a lot of fiction, but these 2 books I thought were great by Otessa Moshfegh. One is called My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which I really love, which is one of my favorite books of the last 5 years, and Eileen. And then from Chuck Klosterman, Killing Yourself to Live and Fargo Rock City. I think if you love music, both of those books are amazing.
All right, let's get to the fucking music dunking thing. Ridiculous. I'm so
we're bringing
mad
it back?
at CJ.
We're bringing it back?
I'm so mad at CJ.
What are you mad at CJ for? For not siding with you?
CJ, do you play basketball currently?
Okay,
no,
can we set this up? Not everybody listened to the last pod.
Sure.
Can we just set this up?
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. In the filter in the last, so our last pod after what game was it? The Pelicans game.
Yeah.
It got very silly. It was one of my favorite podcasts that we've ever done. And in the filter in, which happens usually only on YouTube, I asked, would you rather be able to dunk with ease or be able to do a sick guitar solo on demand? And it became a debate throughout the entire thing. Mike, of course, wants to easily dunk. CJ and I both pick sick guitar solo on demand. Now, the vote on Twitter, I think for a basketball podcast, very close. 55% pick dunk, 45% pick sick guitar solo. Anyway, Mike, go ahead. Your thoughts on CJ? You're very mad at CJ.
Yeah, I just thought that me and CJ were friends. I thought that me and CJ were in the same
You
wavelength.
think CJ can't be honest?
Are we not friends because
I just think
we have different interests?
I don't think that... CJ, you produce a basketball podcast.
Sure.
He's a person.
The idea that you would rather just go like, hey, everybody stop what you're doing and listen to me not play in a band where I'm like...
He could play in a band. Hold on. He could play in a band.
But the specific thing was sick guitar. What was the last word, Spike?
Solo. But you can do a sick guitar solo in a band.
I know, but it's mostly annoying.
Wait a minute. When you're dunking,
mostly annoying.
You want to be able to dunk during a game.
I'm dunking for myself. Allow me to dunk for myself. It is a pure joy of like I can do anything, and it is helpful in a game for a point guard to be able to throw a lob to a guy who can effortlessly dunk. It is not close. If it was a music podcast, then I could see how it would be close. But one thing you can learn, doing guitar, to be pretty good, where you say like, yeah, I guess I can commit myself to doing sick guitar solos. And one, you can't. I could train a ton and be able to maybe dunk a little bit, but to effortlessly dunk where I have just easy bounce as a 5'11" guy is not something I can just easily attain.
5'9.5". Okay,
can I bring up
Spike? I'm 5'11". I'll dunk on your ass right now. I don't even need the special ability. I will fucking do it. I will break both your hips. I will take the boners out of your hips, the fucking dildos. They're gone.
If I will set this up for the next live pod. That's all I'm saying, is that you will be measured at the live next time. Anyway, I've interrupted too much. 100%. CJ, your response.
Well, I just want to raise a point that AU brought up in his article today.
A ridiculous article, by the way. Hey, here, I've invented some qualifications, and of the 9 or whatever qualifications I've come up with, I guess this one wins. Remarkable. AU, I'm repulsed. I'm absolutely repulsed. Me and Sixers Adam are going to go to a desert island. We're going to fucking dunk, and we're going to survive for as long as we fucking want. Okay? CJ? Fucking ridiculous.
AU brought up a great point with the exclusiveness of all of this. There's 1,400 colleges in America that play men's basketball.
Why is that relevant?
There's only 305 guitar centers. There's not that many places to get a guitar.
Why is that remotely relevant to anything?
It shows that a lot more people are dunking than doing cool guitar solos.
No, it's not.
You want to be rare company. You want to be exclusive in what
No, I don't. I want to be able to dunk.
If everyone else
is dunking, cooler to dunk than go like, hey, everybody, stop. Listen to.
Why do you have to say, hey, everybody, stop?
Because that's what a guitar solo is.
No, what are you talking about? What if they come
to you because you're very good?
You're not playing within like a context of a band and playing good music. You're just playing like, hey, stop. Just me right now.
Plenty of great. Look, I could name a lot of them, but like Eddie Van Halen did sick guitar solos in a band that had good songs.
The question is not, are you Eddie Van Halen? The question is, do you do sick guitar solos? Which some random guy who is not in a band making a bunch of money doing anything can do. There are plenty of people who are not in bands that claim they can do sick guitar solos. And it is just simply not even close to as enjoyable as being able to rise up and fucking cram on somebody effortlessly.
Well, wait a minute.
It is not close.
Just because you can dunk with ease doesn't mean you can cram on somebody effortlessly.
If you can effortlessly dunk, you can effortlessly cram on somebody.
Well, then if you can have a sick guitar solo, you can be in a great band.
No, because you're not giving yourself a sense of timing. You're just saying like, I can go solo and nobody else is around. The question wasn't, hey, can I play within the context of a basketball team and constantly make the right cuts? It's just saying, could I dunk? And if you can dunk, you can catch a lob. But if you can do sick guitar solos, you can't be a positive member of a band society.
Wow.
Disagree. Ridiculous. We're a basketball podcast. You guys are constantly trying to make this a music podcast.
No,
and
we're
it's
not.
not.
We just have music.
It's a basketball podcast. I'm allowed to talk about the bad games because somebody did something interesting. Dunking is cooler than playing guitar, and it's not close.
You talk about the bad games for 40 minutes.
And it's not close. It's not close. Dunking better.
We're not trying to make it a music podcast. There's several musicians.
Fucking Mountjoy just put CJ in his goddamn place. Put CJ in the grave. CJ dead. Dunk every time.
Which is
not close.
You ever
I
seen
asked
Cheetah Girls? The original Cheetah Girls?
Sure, of course. You think I haven't seen Cheetah Girls? I'm 34 years old. Of course I've seen Cheetah Girls.
How cool was that ending scene when the guy jumps up on the car and they come together at the end when they're in that alleyway or whatever?
How about Back to the Future?
And he starts shredding the guitar. That is the highlight of that franchise. That made all of their careers, that guitar solo.
We give it all away for a dunk one dunk in a heartbeat. I wouldn't watch as much basketball as I do. I wouldn't care about basketball as much as I do if I could if I would choose a sick guitar solo over an effortless dunk.
You know what? I'm actually insulted the way that you talk about sick guitar solos, to be quite honest with you.
I just think that there's more obnoxiousness to a sick guitar solo in particular.
Yeah.
It's not just being good at guitar. It is sick guitar solo.
Yeah.
And then there's more obnoxious to that than there is to being like, hey, I can dunk, and that is helpful to a basketball team. It is more helpful to be able to dunk on a basketball team than it is to be able to do sick guitar solos to a band.
But there's a lot of players who can dunk who are not helpful to a basketball team. We've seen plenty of them. Just because you can dunk doesn't make you helpful to a basketball team.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think it's a much more enjoyable life if you can dunk than it is if you can go like, actually, everybody be quiet for a second. I'm going to do a little bit
Why do you have to tell everyone to be quiet?
Because that's what it is. If you're playing guitar for somebody, they have to be quiet. You have to go like, listen to me jam out for an extended period of time.
What if you're just having like a solo guitar session in a little nook in your apartment?
But wouldn't you be able to, but you can learn that. If you're doing solo guitar playing, then you want to learn and be better at it.
Do you know how hard that is?
Extremely hard.
Not as hard as being able to dunk.
If you're
effortlessly.
If you're above a certain height, then you can train to learn how to dunk. That is possible.
Sure.
So I think in theory, some have restrictions, but both of them can be trained to do.
But there's difference than just longer to learn how to play last year guitar. Montrezl Harrell dunking and like effortless dunk. I think that is it's not can do a guitar solo and do a dunk. It is effortless dunk versus sick guitar solo. And I just find that was the prompt, and there is a way more enjoyable time being able to dunk in the context of either by yourself or in the context of a pickup game than there is being able to go, okay, everybody else, it's a solo, so everyone else in the band at least has to be quiet.
That's not true.
In a solo?
It doesn't have to be. The drummer can still be playing.
Okay, the drummer can be
and the bass player can still be
quiet,
playing.
a soft
Have you
beat.
ever listened to a song?
No.
There are guitar solos in songs.
No, I've never listened to a song before.
But there are guitar solos in songs while everybody else is still playing. You're an
yes, but it's easily
You're an anti-musite. You're an anti-music person.
I'm not a music guy. If I was a music guy, I wouldn't be doing a basketball podcast. I wouldn't pick
music guys can do basketball podcast. I'm a music guy that does a basketball podcast.
You and Kevin O'Connor can go choose sick guitar solos.
Okay.
I'm going to be dunking on your head and kicking you with my non-dildo hip.
Well, I'm going to be standing on the stage doing this fucking solo.
No, you're going to be in your garage while your neighbor calls the cops because you're being too loud.
I think there's a perfectly valid argument that the neighbor could be calling the cops on you for dunking in your driveway after 8 p.m.
Okay, if I get called, there is nothing cooler than getting the cops called on you for dunking. Okay? I hope that happens. I would love for that to happen.
All right. A good Friday night pod. I'm excited I don't have to get up tomorrow morning because we're not doing a pod tomorrow morning. It's pretty great. Sixers lost, but moral victory, moral loss for the Celtics. Go fuck yourself, Celtics. We will be back Wednesday night after the Sixers play the Hawks. The correct answer is sick guitar solo.
Like, obviously it's not. It's just so obviously it isn't the case.
We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, like face.